Well, good morning, everybody, or I guess good afternoon. I'm Sheryl Hogle. Jackie kind of cut out there, so I didn't get to hear what she said, but I'm Sheryl Hogle with Credit Union Student Choice. Welcome. I'm excited to be here to share with you today. So let's jump right in. We have a jam-packed agenda to cover. First, let's take a look at why college. What is college worth it? Those that attend and complete college bring in 70% more earnings than the high school graduate, which translates into $1 million more over their career. Also, they start out with a better starting salary that's almost 2 times their debt load. This goes for 2-year colleges as well as the 4-year colleges. Plus, I'm going to include the trade schools in this. Trade and technical schools are making a comeback with more information available in careers in those fields. Many fields in these schools offer a career longevity, better starting salaries as well to offer more earnings over a lifetime. So we're going to include all those when I say why college, is it worth it? As we prepare for college, as a student prepares, it's definitely a beneficial thing to start before high school, making sure that the student is developing critical habits such as studying, completing homework assignments, making time for that, looking ahead to the big picture of higher education, forming a plan of what the student's interested in, joining any clubs, getting involvement there, maybe clubs in school, youth groups, sports, band, choir, things like that will help develop a well-rounded student for colleges to accept. And then, of course, also start saving money at this level. As a freshman, sophomore, students should begin to explore their career paths that they're interested in, start looking at colleges, making sure to take college prep classes that will look great to colleges when transcripts sent to them. Junior year, this is the time where it starts, rubber meets the road, starting taking those ACT and SAT tests if they're offered. They aid in college admission in having those, and a lot of schools will have days to study for that, to study for those. It's good to take those. You can, if you don't do as well as what you'd like the first time, the student can take it again, but start investigating scholarship opportunities. Attend any financial aid events and college nights. Those will be helpful in determining where you would like to go, give you some ideas, and start visiting colleges to get the feel for the campus, the curriculum offered. And then as a senior, start applying to those colleges. This is go time. So you definitely want to fill out the FAFSA, which is the financial aid for student aid. That you want to fill that out annually. We'll discuss that more in detail in just a bit here. The usual date for opening for that is October 1st. That didn't happen this year. It's planned for December 1st. So keep an eye out for that when you can start applying and filling that out. Stay focused, finish strong. Now's not the time for a student to slough off and take easy classes. This is where, if AP classes are offered, this helps bypass some college classes that they can still get credit for, but they don't have to pay that cost. They'll just have to take the AP test, maybe pay for that test, but the whole, it might bypass a class that they don't have to take in college. And also be active in those clubs and community, BPA, DECA, FFA, band, choir, sports, school clubs that are offered. Make sure that you're doing that to prepare for college. So as we look at choosing college, here are some questions to ask when selecting. You want to make sure that the university is accredited. Do they participate in the federal student aid? So your student can get aid to help in the cost of paying for college. Do you as parents, if you're on here as a parent, and I'm sure most of you are, of a maybe junior or senior, do you have the financial resources to cover any gap funding that's not included in the financial aid? Do you meet admission requirements? Does the school offer the programs and courses that you might want or that the student might want or need? What's the job placement rate for the career that they chose? And what's the graduation statistics? Are they doing well with the Better Business Bureau? These are all great questions to investigate and check. I do want to say, I want to throw out there, even for community colleges to check with this. I live in the state of Michigan, and we offer a Michigan Promise, which in many counties is where the student can qualify for 2 years of free college for their associate's degree. I looked in the state of Massachusetts, and I found that you offer Mass Educate is what it's called, and it covers the full cost of tuition and fees for all eligible students. Students may qualify for an allowance of $1,200 for books and supplies based on the income level. And some students may also be eligible for an additional $1,200 to help with other costs in attending college. And I throw that out there because specifically with one of the questions on there, does the school offer the types and programs of courses I need and want that the student is looking for? If a student hasn't decided what path to take at college, I highly recommend looking into taking advantage of that 2-year free college. It'll save lots of money, lots of time. A lot of students want that college campus experience, but it really only delays it for a couple years, and it saves them a lot of money if they can do that. It's just an option that is out there. Reach out to the community college where you are at, and through their financial aid office, you'll be able to find out if you're eligible for that Mass Educate program. You do have to complete the FAFSA. Like I said, we'll discuss that later in a future slide. So as I said, most of this webinar probably have seniors that have already decided which college that they would like to go to attend, or they still might be deciding on colleges. Couple things to consider when choosing a college. You are building a 4-year budget. College and what comes with it should be treated like a business transaction. We need to do our due diligence on colleges before we make the final decision. So this is how you can do that. Many tools are available to help you, but one tool I highly recommend is this College Navigator. This is a website that you can go to. It's included in these slides. The URL is included there, which the slides will be provided for you after this webinar. But you can do side-by-side comparisons of the colleges that you're looking at. It provides a student to teacher ratio of what there is, type of campus setting, what degrees that the college offers. I selected University of Massachusetts in Boston just as an example to show what it's going to give you information on. It also shows the type of, for that 4-year budget, it shows the past 4 years, so you can see where costs have gone up. Most of the time that's happened, to where you can estimate for the next 4 years of what cost might be. And we'll break down those costs here in just a few minutes, but it'll give you that. It'll also give you the type of financial aid that the school offers. You can, like I said, you can compare colleges, see what's there, see how many students were awarded financial aid, what the amounts were in an aggregate form, but the average amount of aid awarded for grants and scholarships, different things like that is in there, is included in this just beneficial tool by going to the College Navigator site. So when you're trying to determine the cost of education, I don't want to scare you, but it is daunting on how much colleges cost. And I'm sure you're well aware of that from news, social media, things like that, seeing that out there. This is a graph to help you understand the different expenses. So let's take a quick look at it. Concentrating more on the public 4-year in-state graph, which is the second one from the top, and then the bottom one, private nonprofit 4-year, just kind of in comparison with that. The dark blue in the graph in that bar is are the fixed expenses. These are tuition and fees, and they're non-negotiable. They do not change. That's what's going to, they'll change from year to year specifically, but those that for tuition and fees, you can't change those with the college. The following colors in the bar are the flexible expenses, where you can have a say in those costs and you can reduce based on what choices are made for that. The flexible expending includes housing and food. Is a student living in the dorm? Are they living nearby in apartments? Are they living with you as parents? How many roommates do they have that can help contribute to lower the cost of a dorm or apartment? What food plan that they chose with their college selections. Each offers a food plan, and especially freshman year, when you typically have to live in the dorm, you can choose from different food plans. I remember when I went to college, this was many years ago, I chose the premium plan, 3 meals a day, but I found I wasn't utilizing it. I only used lunch and dinner, and I didn't do breakfast because I had early morning classes, and I would just grab an apple or a protein bar, something like that. So make sure in selecting the meal plans that you're being realistic on when the student's going to eat. Are they living in apartments, living on mac and cheese and ramen noodles, or living at home and cooking at home? Books and supplies is another flexible category. I would definitely recommend checking with the professor first before buying every new book at the college bookstore. Perhaps it's just an updated version, a new version of it. The old version would be sufficient. You can maybe check to borrow a book from someone that's already had the class. You could rent the book possibly, or have discounted book costs through chegg.com or Amazon. By doing it that way, it can save a lot of money. Sometimes the books aren't even used. More online stuff is used. So definitely have the student check with the professor on books so you can save money in that category. Transportation, it will depend whether having a car on campus and needing to purchase that parking sticker or a bus pass is needed. Sometimes those are free. Sometimes those are at a greatly reduced cost for students. Can they carpool with other students, or just they live close enough to ride a bike or walk? And then other expenses is the final category, just kind of miscellaneous expenses for entertainment, sporting events, laundry. They fall into that category. As you're looking at those, that public 4-year, it says about 30,000 just underneath there. And then private ones, it's just under 63,000. From what my research says with the New England states, those are a little bit higher. So it starts out, it could be around 35,000 for the public 4-year, and even up to 80 to 90,000 for the private nonprofit 4-year colleges. So you want to take that into consideration when you're determining what amount of money that you might need or where your student's going to go in selecting a college. Student choice takes a value-based approach to financial aid. First, we recommend definitely taking free money, which is grants and scholarships. Those do not need to be paid back unless there might be a stipulation on that. I know my daughter, when she went to college, one of the scholarships that she got each year, in order to receive it, it was a renewable one, $1,000 one for every year. She had to provide a transcript of what her previous year was in order to do that, and a thank you card. So we made sure she did that for $1,000 each year. But they are free. They don't have to be paid back. Cheap money is the federal direct loans. They're next with typically a low fixed interest rate that is offered to the student. We'll go through those in a minute. And then there's gap funding, which can include various types. It could be the savings plan that you have, savings that either a 529 plan or savings that you'd set aside for the student. Some finance any gap funding through the equity in their home. Tuition payment plans can be a really good plan because you set it up with the school to pay so much a month. That's usually no interest. There might be a small fee to do that, but there's no interest on that. And if you can pay $100 a month out of 9 months out of the year, there's $900 that comes off of what is needed to finance, if anything, at the end. And then there's federal plus loans and private student loans, which we'll do a deeper dive here in just a second. So determining in what you need, we'll take a look at a sample award letter. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because the award letters typically come out April or May of this year. And since we're in the fall, you don't necessarily need to take a deep look at this, but just to let you know what's out there, these are provided by the school to the student. When they get an award letter, the student has the ability to accept or deny things that the college offers. They will list what's needed for there, and then also what scholarships may be given or grants that are given to give you an estimated net cost. Then after that, you can see what funding you need to do through the federal program, the direct loans, whether it be subsidized or unsubsidized, and we'll take a look at that. And then that leaves the cost of attendance. What is left that you as a parent or the student needs to come up with to be able to finish paying for that year in college. So we kind of went through this already. How much do you really need? We went through it with that one slide. The fixed cost is definitely the tuition and fees. Flexible cost is the transportation, the housing, the food, books. There is an option here too. After you fill out the FAFSA, if your financial situation has changed, you can ask for an appeal. Maybe there was the parents divorced, maybe a medical situation came up within the family, perhaps a death, anything that's caused a financial burden since the FAFSA, that financial aid for student aid has been submitted. If something has changed, you definitely can ask for an appeal with that. You can check other income sources that you might have, and we already discussed the tuition payment plans to make sure that that is a viable way to be able to pay for the college cost and expenses. I already kind of mentioned this. This just kind of puts it in a slide format of being able to adjust those flexible expenses, taking a look at renting at an additional roommate. If there was if they lived in an apartment, how to reduce food cost. I worked at a credit union, and I would do presentations like this to high school students, and I would tell them that college is going to be one of the poorest times of your life. Act like it. So don't, go out and eat all the time, spend money in doing that, learn to live. It's just for a brief season in your life. Live on those cheaper foods, mac and cheese or ramen noodles. In order to save money, do what you can to do that. And then like I said, with books, entertainment, things like that, there's always ways to reduce and make smart spending choices in that. One thing I do want to say with this, a lot of times if funding is given to the school will give some of the funding back if it's an overage. They give it a lot of times in the form of a debit card to the student. So you definitely want to tell your student not to just waste that money. It might be used for something, for books, perhaps, that extra money was given in a debit card for books. I know when my daughter went to college, we asked extra for on loans for the housing, and that all came back into a lump sum to us at the credit union account where we were at. And it was just a matter of my daughter and I monitoring that and making sure we had enough funds set aside for each month to pay her rent. So that's definitely something to consider. If a student gets like a debit card or funds given back, is it being used for an educational purpose? And if not, it can go back directly on the loan that they might take out. So let's look at the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. This is something that you will want to fill out every year. All families should complete this because not all aid is awarded based on financial need. I had many students back when I worked at the credit union say, well, my parents won't qualify, so I didn't fill it out. There are still avenues. This is to be able to use this. This is the main gateway for financial aid for colleges to award federal, state, and even school aid. So, and it needs to be filled out each year that the student is going to college. You do have to set up a FSA ID, the Financial Student Aid ID, before you fill out this FAFSA form. You can set that up at any time. And like I said, this year, the financial aid form, this FAFSA form, it's supposed to be available October 1st, but the last 2 years, FAFSA has been doing an upgrade and trying to streamline it. They've revamped it to a more simplified than previous years. Previously, they had 108 questions. It's down to 36. The word contributor replaces whether it be the student, parent, spouse. So now everyone's considered a contributor to that. You can enter up to 20 colleges versus the previous 10 that will get your financial aid information from this FAFSA. And with this, also, you need to present or to consent to transfer data from the IRS, even if you didn't file taxes. If you have a non-filer, say your son or daughter has never filed, they still need to give that consent on this FAFSA, but it streamlines it, takes it much less time in order to fill out, but there has been some hiccups with it. So in the mess that has provided in changing it and revamping it, this year, they're still looking for a December 1st open date is when you can do that, but you can always apply for that FSA ID prior to that to be ready to go. But the application should open December 1st. Follow this website. It's an amazing website to bookmark and to keep information on. They'll let you know when it's going to be available. It's definitely available sometime in December, but they're shooting for December 1st. Just a note with that, every Sunday, the site is down from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. So if you can't seem to get on and it's Sunday morning, just wait. In the afternoon, you should be able to get on for that. The different types of financial aid that are offered that you can get from filling out the FAFSA, definitely scholarships and grants come from that. Federal direct loans, which we've already discussed, institutional programs, which is at the school. Federal work study is a possibility where the student has to just answer a question. Are you willing to add federal work study to your program? And that way they can get a job on campus, a lot of times more flexible than an off-campus job, just to help. They work with the student schedules, and it's on campus to where the student doesn't have to go far and works with their schedule to provide them a best work study. And that funding is to help pay for their cost of college. There's the Federal Direct Plus loan. That's a parent's loan. private student loans, those are additional aid, or not private student loans. I'm sorry, back up on that. Additional loans that the financial aid, by filling out that FAFSA, can provide for you on your award letter. So the financial aid process, once the form is completed by both contributors, the student and the parent, if the parent is on there or guardian, student aid report is sent to the student's email within 7 to 10 days, showing that kind of what was the summary of that, showing that they received the information. And then that FAFSA information is made available to the school as an institutional student information record. So the school has that information of those 20 schools that, you inputted on the form. They have that. If they need more info, they can reach out to contact you on that. But if you have any questions on your financial aid package that you get, please, talk to your financial aid office on there, or officer, that one at the school that you are interested in, to be able to figure out what that financial aid package all entails when they offer it to you. We've already discussed this a little bit. It typically opens October 1st for the next academic year. This year should be the last year that it opens in December. It was last year and this year, due to the updates put in place in the FAFSA process and making it easier. It should be ready for December 1st this year. That's the plan. Definitely submit online. Mail is not recommended. Mail takes a lot longer to fill out and to get results back, and for results to go to the school. So definitely online's recommended. Again, apply annually, however long the student is in school. You want to do this each year. No matter how much money you make, you want to fill this out because it does provide additional funding for schools if it's filled out. Beware of scams. If somebody says, hey, I will fill out, you can fill out the FAFSA for a cost. The key word is free. The FAFSA is free. So you don't want to pay anything. Beware of those scams. They're going to come out ready to, pounce on you for this. So just go to that specific website with the financial student aid. That's where you want to get your information from. Let's look at the free category of money, which is scholarships. This is without the FAFSA. This is if you, above and beyond the FAFSA, eligibility starts a lot of times in 11th grade, and it's based on need or merit. Sometimes it's for different reasons. These are ones that could be civic, it could be religious, it could be Rotary, it could be business. It could be in honor or memory of, based on where I'm at. There's different ones in honor of maybe a student that was, or in memory of a student that was in a car crash and loved band. So they're providing band scholarships, different things for that. It could be just that you're left-handed, or they're targeting, you can find those that are, with green eyes. There's a variety of reasons, and the award amounts vary. There's different places to look for them. fastweb.com, finaid.org, different ones, College Board, those that are here are great ones to look at. But also you can look online and do Google searches for that. You can see by doing this, if you want going for a teaching degree, plug in, just do a Google search teaching, add the word association plus scholarship and see how many come up for that, and take a look for that. There's also a way by doing, a lot of counties have a foundation that offers scholarships as well. So you can do a Google search with your county plus the word foundation plus scholarship, and it will bring up those that in the county have a foundation for that. Where I live, My daughter, there is a community foundation for the county that we live in. She only had to put in one application, but she could qualify for many that were out there. And she ended up qualifying for two. She ended up getting $4,600 in scholarships from the foundation. So it's something that is definitely worked toward. I want to say, think of, this as, say you're searching for this, you put in 1 hour of searching and you gain $500 or $1,000. Think of it as a part-time job. You are getting for that hour $500 or $1,000. So that's definitely worth looking into to search for these scholarships. On these, a lot of times, if it's on the national scale, largest dollar amounts are displayed first because they're on the national scale. But as you scroll down to see what is offered, it will show ones with smaller amounts. Don't disregard those. Those add up. And while it's great to receive a larger scholarship, the smaller amounts are typically easier to get. So every little bit helps. Start going for them. Things that you could ask if you have the opportunity to ask is this a one-time, or you could investigate it through your search? Is it a one-time, or is it given over a 4-year period? How does the college consider these private scholarships? Does it take away from their financial package? And at MassMutual, at your credit union, they offer a scholarship program that starts in January. This slide has a lot of the information. This is a very robust scholarship program. If you are a member at MassMutual, definitely something to take advantage of for your student. They offer 10 scholarships, each valued at $2,000 each. So you definitely want to check that out. Watch their website starting in January. All applications are due in March, but you definitely want to give that a look over and definitely apply for those. That is a wonderful scholarship program that they offer. So some scholarship tips, definitely that you want to take advantage of. Get in the money-making mindset. Like I said, it's like a part-time job. And all those small scholarships definitely add up to take away from the cost and expenses of what it costs to go to college. Build a scholarship list of those that you want to apply for and get those going. This is key. Follow the instructions to the letter. Sometimes they may say, fill it out with black ink. Fill it out with black ink because they'll disregard anything that's in any other color. Or, even if it sounds silly, read the instructions and follow them to the letter. Sometimes places that offer these put in maybe unique instructions in order to filter out those applicants that just didn't look at the instructions. So definitely make sure you do that. Think of essays as T, the word T, T-E-E, for time, energy, and effort. So what is put into it, you can maybe take the one essay that you've made and then just modify it to the criteria for the next scholarship. It's something, but it's definitely, you want to do a good job on, put the time in, the energy and the effort into that. If you have a student has a job history, include those in the scholarship. Use reference letters. These are coaches, perhaps, or teachers, youth leaders, work bosses. But remember that they're busy, so give them ample time to complete. Don't wait to ask a day or two before the scholarship deadline to request a reference letter. I have provided these reference letters often for students that I worked with when I worked at my credit union. They do reach out to you. They value the opinion. So maybe it's even somebody at the credit union that you have worked with through the years or know that could provide a reference letter for that student. And also highlight community involvement and charity work. Whatever the student might be involved in the community, doing things, charity work. I know the students that I worked with, we had a youth advisory board at our credit union. And I actually saw that on the college acceptance letter, saying that they were thrilled to see that that student was involved in the community on the credit union's youth advisory board. Actually put that in the letter. So that's definitely something to highlight in the scholarship tips. But be aware of anything that's sweepstakes, lotteries, easy completion, maybe no essay, any scholarships involving luck, such as drawings. I'm going to put a caveat on this, though, that I'd say that for most of the time, but I do know my credit union where they do have a scholarship drawing, a random drawing of those. It's kind of like, again, it's easy completion. They just have to fill it out, be a member, or their parent or grandparent has to be a member and fill it out, and just fill out what area that they're going to pursue in college. It was more for a member appreciation, and they just continued it for every year. But most of the time, you want to be aware of that. If they're worthwhile, there's a competitive element to it. It does require effort. It maybe has multiple sections. So if you go to a graduation night or award night, save those names, because you might find out in your area or by major what scholarships are available. Definitely check with a high school financial planning, or the high school counselor, to see what they offer. They typically will advertise those at the college office, the high school counseling office, and be able to have a list of those for students. And again, some of those are just regular ones that it might just be they're looking for, a left-hander or a certain ethnicity or things like that, that will complete the scholarship of who is providing for it. The top mistakes for scholarships is only applying for private ones and applying for too few of them, not really researching, and just go down a list. Keep diligent at looking at what scholarships available, because it changes all the time. Almost every state has a scholarship program for residents, and they are awarded to students who are just attending a college in that state. Check those out. Instruction and application mistakes are big and key whether a scholarship is awarded. Pay attention to deadlines. This is so key. Put them on a calendar. Don't let things wait, like that reference letter and what you need to acquire and provide for that scholarship application. Don't stop searching. Continue to do this throughout your college years, high school. So much money I have heard in years past that aren't awarded because someone hasn't accepted or applied for that scholarship. So definitely, be diligent in applying for those scholarships, especially this time of year. So there are times when they can consider an appeal, kind of like in the same that we talked about earlier in the financial aid award letter. There could be change in income, employment, medical bills, different things. If that has happened since you applied for the scholarship, apply again and to see if you can get an appeal for that award. So let's look at what the federal government offers in free scholarships and grants. This is free money from the government. It goes to the state or the school. It does not have to be repaid. Could have some obligations to it. I know one my daughter got from financial aid from the school for the college that she was going to. It was the dean's one. She was a 4.0 in high school, but as she went away to college, she had to adjust to the new social aspect, different things. and a grade dropped below what it needed to be, and she lost that dean's scholarship after her first semester. That really, gave her a kick, and she decided, I need to adjust my time and be able to concentrate on what I need to do. So she didn't do that again and graduated with high honors from college, but that was a good lesson to learn. They can be awarded based on need or merit, and definitely ask more information when you see them available. There are federal grants available. These are a few that they have. You can go to the studentaid.gov website again. There's the federal Pell Grant that offers just under $7,400 maximum for this next coming school year, or for this year. There's a federal supplemental education opportunity grant and a teach grant that typically provides up to $4,000 a year. This year, they've done some revamping with that. So you actually want to go to the website to see what that entails for that. But all those are federal grants that are offered that do not need to be paid back. The federal Pell Grant is based on need. So you want to check those out. Work study, we kind of mentioned this earlier. It gives you flexibility. You wouldn't have to be on an off-campus job to help pay. It pays at least minimum wage. They're usually part-time and on campus. There is limited availability though for that. So you definitely, if you're interested, your students interested in working part-time on campus to help pay for their college expenses, they want to check that box right away with that financial aid award letter, because they are given out first come, first serve. So want to be able to check on that. As we look to the cheap federal loans, these are loans made by the federal government to the student. They must be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen of the U.S. They need to have a high school diploma or a GED or complete homeschooling. They must be enrolled in an eligible program as a regular student seeking a certificate or degree and making satisfactory academic progress in order to get these loans. There are two types of federal loans: subsidized and unsubsidized. The subsidized is eligible to students based on financial need, where the government pays the interest while in school. This year, each year, the rates are reviewed at the end of June or in the month of June, and it is changed as of July 1st. This year, the fixed rate for this is 6.53%, plus an origination fee that comes right off the top of that loan. To manage that is a 1.057 fee for that. Unsubsidized, this is not based on need at all. This, though, the student pays the interest from the time of the loan, which they can defer to that till 6 months after graduation. Again, the rates stay the same, the fee stays the same, and for both, the standard repayment terms is 10 years with a 6-month grace period right after they graduate. So loan limits for this is you can get for the student, freshman can be awarded up to $5,500, sophomores $6,500, and juniors and seniors up to $7,500 for unsubsidized. If part of that loan is subsidized, the freshman can get up to $3,500 subsidized, and then $2,000 more can be unsubsidized from that. So if you can look at these two tables here, independent students, and as they go as far as it increases, is upperclassmen, but for independent students, this is where it has specific criteria for this. It has to be at least 24 years old. So don't think because your student, your son or daughter, if they are independent and don't need your income, they're working on their own. That's not what this means for these cheap loans that the federal government offers. There is specific criteria for an independent student. Anything that doesn't fit that criteria is considered a dependent student. So Looking at other gap loans, this is for other funding. This is above and beyond. So we looked at the scholarships and grants. Those are the free money. That's what you want to pick first and accept on your award letter. The next one's the cheap loans, whether it be from the federal government, state, or school. Those are ones at a lower interest rate, fixed rate. Those what you'd pick. And then finally, if there's anything left over needing to pay for that cost to attend the school, that's gap funding. And options for gap funding can include just savings accounts or what's been put aside in a 529 plan. For a while, retirement accounts, and we get this question all the time, can I use my retirement account? We don't recommend that at all. Don't use your retirement funding to pay for your students' college expenses. We do not recommend that at all. Home equity loans can be used. The equity in your home can be used for that. We already discussed tuition payment plans. The federal plus loans we'll go into here in just a minute, and the private student loans. Again, the FAFSA must be completed for the federal plus. Private loans, it's recommended, but not required. So the federal plus loan is a loan from the government that's made to the parent of the student. It is not in the student's name at all. It is you can get up to minus the cost of, for up to the cost of attendance, minus any financial aid that's already been awarded. However, the interest rate for this is fixed at it's just over 9%. And the origination fee that comes off the top of that is over 4%. So you really want to be clear, research this. It's a 10-year repayment beginning after 60 days after the loan is dispersed to you. And there are different things where dependent students, if a parent is denied this, they might be able to qualify for additional funding for that. But this is through the parents only, not in the student's name. It is not building credit for the student. Tuition payment plans, we've already discussed. So it's typically offered by most colleges out there where you can provide a specific payment amount and split up each month to do that. And then there's private student loans. This is a finance option for higher education that can supplement, but like I've said previously, do not replace it with the federal direct loans. Take those first. This is what is for whatever's left over. Rates vary by institution and typically are variable based on prime, but there could be fixed rates offered as well. Origination fees are usually 0, but if they do have them, it's relatively low, up to 3%. 10 to 25-year repayment terms are offered. May require a co-borrower to meet the FICO and debt for income requirements. For that, usually with a high school student, a co-borrower is needed because they don't have the work history or the credit history to be able to qualify. You can have the option to defer these payments while in school. And if you have a security freeze on your account, you want to make sure you lift it before the credit bureau, before you apply. So, and MassMutual has an undergraduate solution through Student Choice. This is a unique solution that is offered to help with those educational funding gaps. It's a line of credit structure where you apply only once undergraduate career. You can borrow up to $75,000 as the line of credit, and it is used for up to nearly 2,000 eligible four-year schools that Title IV eligible, which means that they do take financial aid. So there are over 2,000 approved schools nationwide, and the rates are as low as 7% variable. They have a variable with that. There's no origination or prepayment fees. They have flexible repayment options, a 20 or 25-year payback for that repayment. If anything is $40,000 and under, that's a 20-year repayment. If they take the line of credit higher than that, anywhere up to the 75, so anything over 40,000 up to the 75, that's a 25-year repayment term. You can select full deferment for this, which is 5 years of schooling and 6 months grace, to where you don't have to pay. But remember, interest accumulates all that time. So you could make interest only payments on this, or make principal and or interest only payments on it as well. These do offer a possible co-borrower release after 48 months of being in repayment status and having on-time payments for 48 months. There is a graduated repayment available. It's not recommended, but it is available if someone needs a really jump start, where the first 2 years are amortized over 40 years to give a lower possible payment to get them into the career path that they need to. And then it's adjusted to the remaining 18 or 23 months that are left on the flexible repayment plan. You can apply for this by going to the Student Lending Center, the co-branded site that MassMutual has for student choice. The URL is shown there, where you can pay for college. Then you can go back, because you don't have to apply every year. You'll go back in and request a draw request by logging into your account information and doing that for the next year. The first year, you get that line of credit assigned. After that, you can request for the next year once it's open for that, to be able to go in and request for the year. It's divided up into 2 parts for fall semester, and then again for winter spring, where it will be sent, the money sent directly to the school. We also offer a college counselor, free assistance with any questions, ranging from any of the general topics that we talked about today, being able to decipher on a college award letter, what scholarships are available. Along with that, going on this site, if you went to resources and support, with that, there you will find the link to the college counselor, where you can schedule a 30-minute one-on-one appointment with her, and to be able to answer or ask your questions that she can answer. She has over 30 years of experience in higher education. And with that, just can stop sharing and open it up for questions with that, or I'll leave this up here so you have that information. But what do we see for questions?